Welcome to Mount
I'm
Pleasant.
standing over there going, did I just get introduced? I think I got introduced. How y'all doing? How awesome is this weather? This is so crazy. And
you're
where
hitting
are
my
all
arm.
the young threshers? We've got old threshers. Where's the young threshers out here tonight?
Stop hitting my arm.
All right, so I gotta start off telling y'all the story. I flew into Des Moines today, and somebody stopped me in the airport, and this woman comes running up to me. She goes, "Oh my gosh!" She goes, "Do you know who you look like?" I said, "I got a pretty good idea, I think." And she said, "Sam Elliott?" She's kind of cute, so I said, "Beef is what's for dinner." So I guess that's cool to look like Sam Elliott, except he's like 85 or something. I don't know. But it's probably the gray hair, I guess. My hair turned gray, but it didn't turn loose. It's still here. So, and I don't mind having gray hair. My hair turned gray really fast, like in a week. Happened during COVID because I was the only live human being my wife could talk to in person. And y'all, I love this girl to death. I think she's the coolest, funniest, sexiest thing I have ever met. But she can talk 3 dogs off a meat wagon. And she's what they call a verbal processor. I didn't know this. This is a real thing. It means when she has a thought, it comes out her mouth. She cannot keep it in her head. If she has a thought, she's going to say it. So during lockdown, she didn't have anybody else to talk to, and she'd just be waiting on me to wake up in the morning. She'd be leaning over the bed like, "You awake? Hey, have you thought of anywhere we might go when this pandemic is over? Because if I don't get out of this house before long, I'm going to lose my dang mind." And speaking of losing their mind, you ain't going to believe what the new family that moved in down the street did. I kept telling you that lady looked like a witch, and I wasn't far off on that one. By the way, there's another light burned out in the kitchen, and I can't cook in the dark, Mr. Buster, so if you want to keep eating, you might want to pull out the ladder and play Mr. Fix-It, okay? By the way, why is it so hot in here? Oh my word, I am burning up. So, Robin texted me this morning, and she told me she can't find toilet paper anywhere. Apparently, people are hoarding toilet paper, and I think anybody that does that ought to be in the express lane to hell, because that's a devil-like thing right there. Oh my gosh, I just saw my butt in the mirror. Why didn't you say something to me about this? Lord, I look like a school bus in these yellow pants. Look at that. It's a wonder I'm not knocking lamps off the table, for crying out loud. So, I had the weirdest dream last night that your mother and Will Smith got married at Disney World, and they were saying their vows jumping on these trampolines in front of that big castle. And then at the reception, you stood up to make a toast, and Will looked right at you and said, "You get my wife's name out of your mouth." So help me think of somebody we can set my cousin Kyle up with, because bless his heart, I can't quit thinking about him. He is by himself during this pandemic, and he needs somebody. And speaking of needs, I do need you to look at my car, because the check engine light has been on for a while. And when I say a while, I mean like 8 or 9 months. And now every time I drive it, there's a burning smell, and I don't think it's supposed to do that. Oh my gosh, I just had a thought. What if Kyle is gay and he's too scared to say anything to somebody about that? Now, when you get a minute, say a prayer for Chip and Jennifer's grandson, because he's getting circumcised today. And speaking of 30% off, that necklace I've been wanting's on sale. So if you want to go ahead and buy it for my birthday, I'll pretend like I never saw it, okay? Why are you making a noose? Untie that from the ceiling fan and get off the bed. You're messing up all my pillows. And I'm like, "Good morning, baby. Can I have some coffee?" This girl can talk. But a lot of good things happened during the pandemic. And I want to go back and say this about getting old. Gray hair don't mean you're old yet, right? No. Because I have not hit, because you can tell like when you're getting really old. Like with women, it's like their eyebrows have all fallen off and they draw them on every day now. Always looks like they've just seen a rat or something. And with men, you can tell they're getting on up there when they have that little pea spot on the front of their pants right there. And I had figured that out, what that's all about. It's like, you know, when you go to put gas in your car and you put it on automatic, and then once the pump stops pumping, the nozzle releases, right? And you think, well, that's it. There's no more gas coming out of the hose, and you pull it out, and then it dribbles down the side of the car and all over the top of your shoe. That's what happens when old men pee. Is their body goes, that's it, no more coming out of the pump, and then you put everything back in, and you go, you liar. There was still some in the hose there. Something good that happened during the pandemic, my mother's flip phone broke. Hey, I'm going to be doing a show for the next 90 minutes. Y'all can sit on that horn for just a little while, okay? And you know they're laughing about it. Wait. Okay, you win. Can't compete with, oh God almighty. Now there's somebody answering them. So my mom had a flip phone for like 15 years. She would not get rid of this flip phone. And a month into COVID, the flip phone broke. So we finally had to break down and buy my mom her very first iPhone. And if you were to say to me tonight, hey Jeff, would you rather teach your mother how to text or teach your dog how to wipe his butt? I would say, hand me the toilet paper. Let me give that a shot real quick. Y'all, teaching my mother how to text may be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And my daughters, bless their heart, they were texting her every day, trying to make her practice. And one night my mom called me and she goes, I have a question about this texting thing. And I said, what is it, Mama? She said, what does Lowell mean? And I started laughing. I said, how you spell Lowell? She goes, L-O-L. Jules texted me at the end of it. She wrote Lowell. I said, Mama, that's not Lowell. That's laugh out loud. I said, young people text so much, they don't take the time to write everything out. So I said, like, OTW is on the way, or IDK is I don't know. And my mother goes, oh. About a week later, I'm sitting there watching TV one evening. I get a text from my mother. IYGTTGSINSK. I'm like, oh hell, Mom's had a stroke. I called her up and said, Mom, what did you just text me? She said, I was doing like the girls do. I said, if you go to the grocery store, I need some ketchup. Well, of course you did. Why didn't I see that? And whichever one of my nieces told her WTF means, wow, that's fantastic. Oh, they think that is so funny. I texted her a while back and said, Mama, guess what? Joey got baptized this morning. She comes back, WTF. She loves that iPhone now, though, because it has features that her flip phone didn't have, like reception. And she called me one night, and I answered because I didn't have anything I had to do for the next hour and a half. And I'm talking to my mom. Well, she mentioned during the conversation that there had been a couple of break-ins in her neighborhood. And I said, well, now, Mama, that's concerning to me. She said, I know. She said, that is why I am thinking about getting my carry permit. Y'all, my mama is 89 years old. her eyesight is bad, her hearing is worse, and she has the balance of Ron White after midnight. And now she's thinking about getting a pistol. I said, Mama, I am a big supporter of the Second Amendment. I said, and you can call me overly cautious. I said, but maybe you shouldn't be packing heat if you're wearing a life alert. Though she could use her pill boxes to sort her bullets in. And I said, Mom, you better think this out before you buy a pistol. I said, you better hope loading it is easier than opening a jar of pickles or you're going to be in trouble. Because she's got arthritis in her hands. And then I thought, well, heck, maybe my agent could get her a commercial. You know, my arthritis had gotten so bad I could barely jack around into the chamber. But thanks to new improved buffering, I can make it rain, dog. You feel me, bruh? Hung up the phone. I told my wife, I said, well, I know what I'm getting Mom for Christmas. I'm going to get her the magnetic holster that she can slap on the side of her walker. And I'm getting her husband a bulletproof vest he can wear underneath his cardigan sweater just in case she goes spider monkey during the Wheel of Fortune. Now, one good thing that happened during the pandemic, I became a grandfather for the very first time, which that is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Man, I love them grand youngins. And my daughter, bless her heart, I don't know how she pulled this off, but she was able to get on the Jerry Springer show and we got to find out who the father is without spending one dime of our own money. So, that was good. I'm kidding. We have no idea who the father is. Could be anybody. But man, I got a little boy, so I had all girls. My family had 11 girls in a row, and we got the first boy in 58 years, and all he wants to do is ride a tractor on the farm. I'm like, thank you, God, I'm not worthy of this. And that's what we do. In his pajamas, we go ride a tractor. But he just turned 4, so he's taking swimming lessons. And a few weeks ago, we're in the pool, and he swims over to me. He calls me Jex. He goes, Jex. He goes, I got a pee-pee. And I'm thinking, what a pain in the butt to get out of the pool and dry off and walk in the house. And so I said, buddy, just pee in the pool. He said, really? I said, yeah. I said, everybody does it. Nobody admits it, but everybody pees in the pool. He said, okay, and he let go of my neck. He swam to the side. He climbed out of the pool, dropped his bathing suit, and peed into the pool. And that night I wrote, if you have ever peed in the pool without being in the pool, you might be a redneck. So, wrote his first joke at 4. That ain't bad right there. Now the one thing, like I love coming out here because I am a tractor nut. I've never seen this many tractors in one place in my entire life. This is crazy. And we did pass the sign today for the National Balloon Museum. I've been bored before. I ain't never been that bored before. Y'all want to go pull in and go look at balloons? Shoot, yeah. Has anybody, by applause, has anybody been to the Balloon Museum? Oh, wow. What do they have there? Well, that's a birthday balloon. That's an anniversary balloon. What is at the Balloon Museum? Oh, hot air balloons. Well, they need to add that to the sign. Hot air would have made a lot of difference. I wouldn't have brought it up if it had said hot air. It just said balloons. We marry in 20 days. You marrying him?
Yeah.
So he knows about it? Okay.
Maybe this.
He go, oh, that's nice. Congratulations. What's your name?
Krista.
Krista's getting married in 20 days. Is it to Deke?
Deke.
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 D? Zeke. Well, Zeke sounds a lot like Deke. Congratulations. Is everybody here invited or?
No, he's with the Subi State. Let's go.
War?
You're invited.
I'm invited?
Come on, you can come.
Hell yeah, where are you getting married?
Monroe City, Missouri.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations for bringing the show to a screeching halt, and good luck to y'all. So,
That was my goal.
see, that's one of the best things I love about my job. Is like I've been to all 50 states now, and I get to see things like this most people never get to see, and it's so cool. And that was one of the bad things about COVID. When it hit, I realized I ain't gonna be working for a while, and my wife loves to travel with me. And she got so bummed out when we just were stuck at home. So she got subscriptions to like 4 different travel magazines. And she was kind of living vicariously through them, reading about all these places she wanted to go. So one night during the early pandemic, I'm flipping through one of her magazines, and I came across an article that was written by a woman trying to teach other women how to pack for a 10-day trip using only a carry-on suitcase. Let me repeat that. A woman packing for 10 days using only a carry-on suitcase. And I thought, what woman is she talking about? Barbie? My wife couldn't pack for a nudist colony in a carry-on suitcase. And now the airlines only let you take 1 carry-on. Well, if I'm with my wife, she has 2, and I have whatever I can fit in my pockets. But I thought it was very interesting that the article was only written towards women. She didn't say men. She just said women. Because I think men could do it. Could you pack for 10 days in a carry-on? No? You don't think you could? I could. Zeke, could you pack for 10 days in the carry-on? Damn right. Might have to burn the socks and the underwear, but we could do it. Because I think most men pack like I pack. This is how I pack. This is how much thought I put into packing. I look at my schedule and I'm like, okay, I'm about to be out for 3 days. 3 days, I walk in the closet, I go, that means 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 shirts, another pair of blue jeans in case I spill something on these, dop kit, hairbrush, ready to go. 10 seconds of well thought out packing. That's how I pack. Now, when I go on vacation with my wife, and let me say this right up front, I love being on vacation with my wife because my wife is a lot more friendly on vacation than she is at home. Something about having numbers on the door improves her attitude. Same girl that won't look at me twice at home, you get numbers on the door, she's hanging the trapeze before the bellhop's to the ice machine. Love being on vacation with this woman. It's getting to vacation that is the challenge, because it takes her longer than 10 seconds to pack. In fact, it takes her days. And I'm like, why would it take days to pack? I figured it out. It's because she has outfits. See, there's not a man in this crowd that has an outfit. But my wife has got to pick out an outfit for every single day we're going to be gone. Plus additional outfits in case we go out somewhere nice to dinner. And then she's got sleepwear, swimwear, exercise wear, lounge around wear. So there's a ton of clothes that have a chance of making her vacation team. So what she will do is like 3 or 4 days before we're even supposed to leave, she'll start pulling clothes out. And she'll lay them on the bed like flat Stanley mannequins. And she just stares at them. Sometimes she'll call me in, come here, I need your help. Okay, stand right there. I am down to these 2 outfits for next Thursday. Which one do you like the best? One on the left. Are you kidding me? Oh my word, why'd I call you in here? I love the one on the right. Well, now that I actually concentrate and think about it, I love the one on the right. No, you don't. You're just saying that because you think that's what I want you to say, and now I don't know what to do. I know what to do. I'm going to go jump in front of a bus. You stand here and stare at this stuff for a while. And see, with me, once I have my clothes packed, I'm packed. With my wife, the clothes, heck, that's the foundation. Her packing's like an archaeological dig. There's many, many layers to it. Because once she has the clothes picked out, now she has to go back and pick out the jewelry that goes with each particular outfit. These women like, yes, she does. If you watch court TV, that's what they call the jewelry selection process. Next layer is the shoes. Shoes take a long time. My wife spends longer picking shoes for vacation than we spent picking names for our kids. I swear I hope she never has to choose between her shoes and me. Because I can see the surgeon going, now Miss Foxworthy, we can save Jeff's life. But in order for us to do that, you will have to get rid of all your shoes. Okay. He said he wants to be cremated. I'm gonna need some new shoes for that ceremony too, I can tell you that. Next layer is electronics, because one time we went to this place and the hotel didn't have a hairdryer. Well, that was a world crisis. So now my wife never goes on vacation without packing a hairdryer. But she'll also pack a hair curler and a hair straightener. And I'm like, they cancel each other out. And then she'll pack that lighted makeup mirror where one side has 12 times magnification. Nobody needs to look at their face magnified 12 times. At 12 times magnification, a wrinkle looks like an irrigation ditch. A blackhead looks like a manhole cover, and God forbid she find a chin hair. Oh, trust me, you're not getting a girl out of the room that sees something on her chin that looks like the anchor rope to a battleship. I'm telling you that.
Sounds like my wife.
Do you know I've never ever looked at my face in the 12 times magnification mirror? All right, to be totally honest, a couple of times I did get out of the shower and I paused in front of it just for a minute. Buenos dias, Senor Enchilada Grande. Next layer, total feminine phenomena, the just-in-case layer. Like my wife will always pack a little raincoat and a travel umbrella, just in case it rains. I'm like, baby, I checked the forecast. There's less than a 5% chance any day we're going to be there. Okay, fine. I don't know what you're going to do if it rains. I do. I'll probably go back inside. She always pack a sweater or a light jacket, just in case it gets cold at night, as it so often does in Orlando in July. Anybody else have a wife or girlfriend that'll do this one? My wife will pack a little soft, collapsible suitcase in the bottom of her regular suitcase, just in case I buy something while we're there. And I've never looked inside the collapsible suitcase, but I'm willing to bet there's a smaller collapsible suitcase inside of that. She'll always pack like a gallon Ziploc bag full of medicine, just in case somebody gets sick. One time I was playing up in Buffalo, It's like February. They had snow up to here. I had a little bit of a headache. I go unzip the medicine bag. We've got malaria pills. Thankfully missed the great malaria outbreak in Buffalo. And I tell her, I said, baby, I adore you. I said, but this is the place where your packing runs off the rails. So next time we're getting ready to go on vacation, I walk in the bedroom one evening and I caught her rooting through my suitcase. She pulled out a 5-pound bag of oats. She was like, uh-huh. She goes, what is this for? I said, oh, that. I said, that is just in case the 2 donkeys we're going to need to carry your luggage get hungry while we're gone. And actually, she packs light for airline travel as opposed to if we go on vacation in the car. Hell, if we go on vacation in the car, there's a fine line between packing and moving. But my wife and daughters think it is their job to fill that SUV to the roof. And the way my girls pack a car would make a grown man lay in the yard and cry. Oh, they'll bring out a bag with bread and potato chips, put it on the bottom, then put 3 suitcases on top of it. Like, y'all are trying to kill me, aren't you? Let me do this. Because men take pride. Do you take pride in the way you pack a car? Are you good? You good at packing a car? Every guy up here, hell yeah. Every man thinks he's good at packing a car. Because when we get done, if you can get a piece of notebook paper between anything in it, it ain't tight enough. Pull it out, start all over again. My dad could get a house load of furniture into the trunk of a Buick. Be like, hold the jack, hand me the piano. I got this son of a gun. And I'm like my daddy, when I get that car packed the way I want it, I am ready to get on the road. I'll walk in the house and go, all right, she's packed, let's go. My wife's like, we can't go yet. I'm like, why can't we go yet? Well, I got to straighten up the house. Do what? Well, I'm not going to be able to have a good time if I know I'm going to be coming back to a messy house. I'm like, well, why didn't you straighten it up the last couple of days? Because I had to pack. Which in a nutshell is why men die before women. Because we want to. Y'all, I've been married for 40 years. My wife still does not understand that a man's number one objective when going on a vacation trip in the car is to get to wherever we're going in the shortest recorded time in human history.
Amen to that.
That's the only thing a guy's trying to do. Now, I've learned through the years a woman's objective on a vacation trip in the car is to consume enough liquid where she will have to pee every 20 minutes, therefore destroying the man's objective. And my wife never has to pee until we just pass an exit. And then she's like, I gotta go, and I gotta go really, really bad. I'm like, well, you will really, really get your chance in 44 miles, because that's how far it is to the next exit. Well, she won't go between exits. And every man out here tonight has been between exits. Nobody had to teach us how to do this. We came out of the womb with this knowledge. You pull the car off the side of the road, you get out and you check the air in the right front tire. It's that easy, isn't it, guys?
Yes, it is.
And ladies, you could do it. You might have to change it from the right front to the right rear tire. Worth a shot, right? So, tomorrow's Labor Day, is that right? Yeah. So, yesterday was the 1 year anniversary. By applause, how many people here have been hospitalized with a poisonous snake bite? I'm the only one. And when you hear about people getting bitten by a poisonous snake, you usually feel bad for them, right? Except like every once in a while you hear about one of them churches where the preacher had a poisonous snake to test how much faith he's got, and then he gets bit and he dies. And you're like, that's kind of on you, Jack. Yeah. Like swimming in a baloney bathing suit. That's you, bruh. You know. So I got to tell you, because it's so unusual. I read last night, there's 2,000 people a year that get bitten by a copperhead snake out of 330 million. I'm one of the lucky ones. Let me tell you how this went down. So where we live, there's a lot of old trees and all, and the power lines are still above the ground. And so every time there's a bad storm, we always have trees falling on the power lines or limbs, and we lose power. So last year we got tired of it, and we bought a generator. So one morning a year ago, I wake up about 3:30 in the morning, and I hear the generator running, and I thought, well, that's weird because it ain't storming or anything. Well, the generator went off, and I thought, well, maybe it's just testing itself, you know, in case of an emergency. Well, about 5 minutes later, it came on again, and I'm like, it ain't supposed to do that. So I climbed out of bed, I grabbed a flashlight, and I picked up my phone in case I got to watch a YouTube video about how do you fix a jacked up generator, you know. You can fix anything with a YouTube video. And it doesn't matter how bizarre it is. You could type in, how do I get snails out of a trumpet, and there'd be a YouTube video. It's like the patient father none of us ever had. You actually learn to fix stuff. So I got the phone and my flashlight. I got on a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, and I walk out in the backyard barefoot. And the generator is on the side of the house down on the basement level. So I walk around, and when I step on the top step to go down to the basement, I step right on top of a copperhead snake. And every time I tell this, somebody go, did you see the snake? Oh yeah, I saw him, and I thought, what the hell, I'm barefoot, but let's roll the dice, step on him and see what happens. And so I don't blame him for biting me. I stepped right on him. But it is my property, and he was trespassing. So if the cops show up, he doesn't have a leg to stand on, I can tell you that. And everybody wants to know what it felt like. It felt like an electric shock. I didn't even realize I'd been snake bit. I kind of hopped and went, dadgummit. I thought the generator was shorting out, and I got down a couple of steps, and I looked down, and I got 2 holes in the top of my foot with blood rolling out of them. And I shine the light up there, and he is like proud of himself. He doesn't have one bit of remorse about this, because I guess within the snake world, that would be as good as it gets, right? Is he'd go back and tell his buddies, guess what I did tonight? I bit Jeff Foxworthy on the foot. Either Jeff Foxworthy or Sam Elliott. I don't know which one it was, but I got him. And I have spent my life bow hunting and fishing. I live in the woods, so I know it's a copperhead. But I thought if I got to go to the hospital, they're going to ask me what kind of snake it is. So I shined the light on him, and I pulled my phone out to take a picture of him. And now he's like, you know, he's really proud. And I get his picture, but now I realize I've got 3 problems. I've got a jacked up generator, I got a snake bite on my foot, and I got a poisonous snake between me and the top of the stairs. And so I'm like, I knew I left my wife sleeping in the bed. I said, I'll call my wife. So I call her, and she's in a dead sleep. I woke her up, she's like, hello? I said, baby, I need you to do me a big favor. And she goes, oh, for crying out loud, I'm asleep. I got a headache. Leave me alone. And I'm like, not that favor. Go to the garage and get a shovel and come around the side of the house and hand it to me. And that's how I knew she was sleeping. She didn't even ask the question. But she showed up. She had the shovel. And when I told this To a friend of mine in LA, the guy's first question was, were you able to relocate the snake? To relocate the snake that bit me on the foot? Yes, I was. I relocated all 4 pieces of him to a cardboard box and put him in the trash can. So, that's how I relocate snakes. So, once I got the snake dispatch, I get up to the top of the set. My foot is starting to puff up like a pumpkin. It's starting to hurt. So I get in the house and I said to my wife, I said, I think you need to take me to the hospital. And so she called 911 and they said, no, don't bring him to the hospital because most hospitals don't have anti-venom. They said, we'll send an ambulance and we'll call around and find somebody that's got anti-venom and take him there. So when the ambulance guys show up, before they even look at my foot, they have me sign a waiver saying if my insurance doesn't cover the ambulance, which apparently is going to be like $2,500, I'll pay for it. I got to sign this before they even look at my foot. So I signed it. And then as they're loading me into the ambulance, the dude had the gall to say, Mr. Foxworthy, I'm going to be honest with you. Ain't none of us ever had a snake bite before, so we have no idea what's going to happen to you. Would you like us to turn the light on? I'm like, for $2,500? Hell yeah, turn the light on. Crank up the siren, open the back door, I'll moon people going down the interstate. I'll get my money's worth on this ride. So we get to the emergency room and the doctor comes in and looks at it and he goes, oh yeah, that's a snake bite, all right. He said, do you have any idea what kind of snake it was? And I was so proud of myself. I showed him the picture. I said it was a copperhead. He goes, yep, you're right, it is a copperhead. He said, unfortunately, it's a juvenile. I said, well, why would that matter? He said, well, a fully grown snake, a lot of times when they strike the first time, they do what's called a dry strike. He said they just put their fangs in, but they don't let any venom go. They're just warning you, I'm here, get away from me, leave me alone. He said, but juveniles can't control their venom, so when they strike, they just let it all go. And I thought, well, there's no shame in that, because when I was a juvenile, I couldn't control my venom either. And several nights ended with, I am so sorry. I don't know what happened. I just looked at it and it went off. So he said, unfortunately, he said, I think you're going to need anti-venom. And he said, I hate to tell you this. He said, it's really expensive. And now it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I can't call my insurance and, ask, they're not open and I'm not in a position to negotiate. And I said, well, what do you mean when you say really expensive? Take a guess. Take a guess how much a vial of anti-venom that big costs. $5,000?
10,000.
$100,000. When he said that, my mouth flew open and my wife was sitting right there and I know she couldn't help herself and she goes, if you didn't give it to him, would he die? I'm right here. And he kind of laughed. He goes, well, he probably wouldn't die, but he'd get really sick, have a fever, be throwing up. He said, worst case, he could lose his foot. And she goes, but he wouldn't die. I'm like, quit negotiating with my foot. It's called stand-up comedy. I got to have 2 of them here. So they give me the anti-venom. And they put me in a room. Well, my leg is now it's going up my leg. My foot's blue and it's puffing up. So they come in like every hour with a Sharpie and they're drawing a line wherever the puffy and the blue is. And they write the time on my leg and they're trying to keep it below the knee. And every time they leave, my wife goes, they draw the line so they know where to cut it off. But they got it to stop. They got it to stop about right there. And so the doctor came in. He said, well, the good news is the anti-venom appears to have worked. He said, and we just talked to your insurance company, and they're going to cover the entire $100,000. And my wife said, we weren't worried about the money. All I cared about was him being all right. If you don't give it to him, will he die? So that's my snake bite story. And now I got to share this story with you because I promised my sister I would do it. Comedians have regular lives just like everybody else. And about 3.5 years ago, my sister got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer that had metastasized to her liver and her kidney. 6 months ago, my sister got declared cancer-free. All the glory goes to God on that one. That's nothing short of a miracle. But my sister, if she was here tonight, she would tell you it was her fault because of these preconditions she had. Her doctor kept telling her, you need to get a colonoscopy every 3 years. And she didn't do what her doctor said, and she went a decade without a colonoscopy, and that's how she ended up with cancer. So back when I turned 50, I got my first colonoscopy, and I did a story about it. And so my sister said, I want you to do me a favor this year. She said, bring that story back, and maybe there will be one person in your audience that will hear this and won't have to go through, because she went through 3 surgeries and 3 rounds of chemo. She said, if we can save one person from doing this, it's worth it. I said, all right, I'll do it. So I'm doing it. So back when I turned 50, I'd been 50 for, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes. And my wife scheduled me my very first colonoscopy. And you know what, there's probably some people here that don't even know what a colonoscopy is. In the Latin, the word colon means intestine. The word oscopy means to attach a GoPro to a garden hose and ram it through it. I'm almost positive that's what oscopy means. So, there are 3 steps to a colonoscopy. The first step is the pre-surgery consultation, which you're going to do a couple of weeks before the actual procedure. And please pay attention during the consultation. And I tell you this not because I did, but because I didn't. Because I'm a comedian, I'm always trying to get a laugh. I actually looked at the doctor and said, boy, I bet you meet a lot of assholes in this business. Not even a smile. That's funny right there. I don't care who you are. That's funny right there now. So, not even a laugh. But so the step 2 is the day before preparation, because before they put this camera through you, they want you completely cleaned out. Well, my wife had bought all the ingredients for the preparation, and she put them on the kitchen counter. But she was out running errands and things. She was texting me. Now remember, at 3 o'clock, you're supposed to start the preparation. I'm like, I got it. Well, the first part of the preparation back then was you were supposed to mix 64 ounces of Gatorade with 10 large packets of Miralax. Now, the back of one packet of Miralax says, may cause loose and watery stools. 10 large packets of Miralax is guaranteed to clean out the Alaska pipeline. Now, if I had paid attention during the consultation, I would have remembered that you were supposed to spread the 64 ounces out over a period of 3 hours. I do not remember hearing that. So I mix it all together and I down that 64 ounces in 8 minutes and 34 seconds. And I know this because I timed myself so I could brag to my brother about it. Now the only thing remaining on the counter is a bottle of something called magnesium citrate. 2 drops of this stuff will pull the Eiffel Tower out of the earth. And I remember the doctor saying everybody needed to drink at least half a bottle, but some people might have to drink the whole bottle. And I thought, well, I don't want to have to come back later and do this again. So I just popped that top, I pinched my nose, and I chugged the whole thing. Now in just under 10 minutes, I completed my preparation procedure that was supposed to take 4 hours. And not long after that, my stomach started making noises. There were noises like that fireplace in the Amityville Horror. Get out. At which point my underwear tapped me on the shoulder and said, run! The first volley took my feet off the ground. I was physically afraid, and I watched a lot of rodeo. The only thing I could think to do was put a glove on my left hand, get some rope, tie myself to the toilet seat, and hold on. I passed everything I've ever eaten in my entire life. I passed things I had only thought about eating. I passed things my neighbors had eaten. I passed the red bicycle we keep in the garage. And 1 hour later, what was coming out of me was so pure it could be legally declared mountain spring water. And I was ready for my test. So the next morning I get up to go down to the hospital. This is the part I was dreading the most. Ends up, it is the easiest of all 3 steps. Thanks to a little IV they give you with the most lovely goo-goo juice I have ever had in my life. They put that needle in my arm and I was like, ow, that... gone. And when I woke up, the doctor was standing there and she's like, hey, it's all over. I was like, all over? I didn't even know you did it. She's like, yeah, everything looked great. You're not going to have to do this again for 5 years. I said, oh, that makes me so happy. And she left. And I thought there was nothing to it. So I had that little hospital gown on, and I look at the end of the bed, and there's a plastic bag with my clothes and my shoes in it. So I grab my t-shirt out of the bag, start to untie the gown, and this nurse comes walking in. And she goes, whoa, 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 whoa. She said, what are you doing? I said, well, I guess I'm going home. And she said, guess again? I said, why can't I go home? She said, well, in order to get that camera through you, they have to inflate your intestines with air, and you can't go home until you give that air back. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, I will. And she said, well, I have to verify that you do. And at this point, I noticed she's holding a pen and a clipboard. And y'all, I remember career day in high school. Nobody told us you can get paid good money for rating farts on a clipboard. Because I have friends that do that all the time for free. But here's the problem. I was raised in the South, and my mother taught me, don't you ever do that in front of a woman. Especially a woman you don't know. So even though I really need to do what she's wanting me to do, I can't do it. I lock up. And now she's getting frustrated because she's got other work she has to do. And she goes, mister, she goes, I have had it. She said, you get back in that bed. She said, you get down on all fours and you lower your shoulders to that mattress. And when I get in that position, I can tell this lady knows what she's talking about, because this is about to work. And so this was my thought process. I thought, okay, if I'm going to embarrass myself in front of this woman I don't even know, why not do like I did with the preparation and just get it all over with at one time? So I thought back to my wife's childbirth classes and that breathing technique they had taught her. And I did the big push, just like they showed my wife. Y'all, what came out of me was so loud and so long I could hear people down the hall laughing.
That sounds like my father-in-law after a
And I said
frappuccino.
to the nurse, "Can I go home now?" And she said, "Please do." So go get a colonoscopy. There's your message from that. I've been very blessed in my career. I've gotten to do it a long, long time, but along the way, I got to do some things that I never thought about doing that ended up being a lot of fun. And one of those things was hosting a show called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And people still come at me, they go, "What's your favorite part of doing that fifth grader show?" And I say, the part where they handed me the card with the answers on it. Because I wasn't Alex Trebek. I did not know that stuff. I didn't know any of it. In fact, one day on the show, we had a lady, I think she had like a second grade grammar question. It was something about an antonym, and she said, "Oh yes," she goes, "I remember there were homonyms and synonyms and antonyms." She said, "I do not remember the difference in them. Can you please use it in a sentence?" My Aunt Nim came over for Christmas dinner. I'm an idiot, I don't know. But I realized that's what made the show work, is as adults, if you had ever known this stuff, you had forgotten it. And so I put a notebook in my dressing room, and every day I was writing down things that I realized I didn't know. And by the end of the first season, I'd fill that fat notebook up. And a lot of them were silly things, but I didn't know them. Like this, I don't know how they know how long to make the cord for the first bungee jump at a new place. I didn't let him jump. I did. Shorten it up a little bit. Give his girlfriend a free t-shirt. I don't know why the dentist makes you lie to them. Every time I go to the dentist, they'll be looking at my mouth. They're like, "Ooh, you have not been flossing every day, have you?" No, not every day. Let me think. The last time I flossed, you did it. I don't know why when a woman gets in the bed, the temperature of her feet and butt drop to below freezing. It can be 98 degrees outside. That butt is ice cold and wanna put it on you. It's like snuggling with a butterball turkey. I don't know who closes the door when the bus driver gets off. Don't start thinking about it. You get a headache. I'm serious. I don't know how women can lie down on the couch and take a nap without sticking their hand in the front of their pants. How do y'all do that? See, men have a sleep button located right there. We take our hand, put it on that button, and know why the bank leaves the vault door wide open but changes the 20-cent ink pen to the counter. And why does the drive-up banking window have directions written in Braille? They do. Look at it the next time you're at the bank. I don't know why the people with the worst breath always stand the closest to you when they talk. They're like, guess what? I don't know, you got a dirty diaper in your mouth? Can I tell you something? All right, but do it quick. I can only hold my breath for 30 seconds. You always try to offer them a piece of gum or a mint. They never take it. They're always like, ooh, no thanks. I don't like the way those taste. Yeah, I can see where you wouldn't prefer peppermint to that cat turd you're chewing on right now. I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Anybody remember when you could ride a bicycle wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore. Now you got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. You got these fat middle-aged guys. They look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit, and they've got sponsor logos. Like, who's sponsoring you, Pop? Dunkin' Donuts, all right. Pedal on, doughboy, pedal on. I don't know why only rednecks are seeing UFOs. And here's the deal. You have got to dispel about 90% of that stuff, because my Uncle Jerry swore. He swore they had crop circles in their front yard. Then we talked to his wife, found out she had called Goodwill and they'd picked up the trampoline and the boat trailer, so mystery solved. But let's just say aliens are coming to Earth and they didn't want people to know they're coming to Earth. It would make complete sense that they would only reveal themselves to rednecks. Because A, we usually live out in the country, so not going to be a lot of witnesses. B, we have no credibility with the media. See, people might believe a doctor from UCLA if he saw one and said, well, they appear to be bipods from a hydrogen and nitrogen enriched environment whose primary respiratory organ was located within their moist translucent epidermis. As opposed to Cletus and his overalls going, well, to be honest with you, it looked like a giant booger with real skinny legs. I don't know why my wife asks me every year, what do you want for your birthday? What I always want for my birthday. What's every guy here want for his birthday? The same thing every woman here doesn't want for her birthday. Not one time has my wife said to me, you know what, this year, don't buy me presents, don't get me flowers, don't take me to dinner. I want you to just go lock that door and take me to Squeal Town. But that's what every guy wants. You could be visiting your 90-year-old grandpa in the nursing home, be like, happy birthday, Papa. Is today my birthday? It sure is. Well, help me get my pants off. my birthday's coming up Monday. He's like, your birthday's coming up Monday. Don't think I don't know that. Don't think she doesn't know that either. I don't know why a dog can eat his own vomit, gobble up cat poop and lick his rear end for hours and be totally fine. But if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. I don't know why in this age of sexual equality we still have jobs we call a man's job or a woman's job. Like if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, whose job is it to go check the noise? It's the man. 100%. Yeah, you never see this.
Yep.
Phyllis, run downstairs, see what that noise was.
every night.
Hey, and bring me back a piece of chicken, okay? Now, if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, it's the man checking it out. In his underwear, carrying a baseball bat. Because that is the official uniform of suspicious noises. Underpants and a baseball bat. I don't know what we're hoping to find, some guy in the living room in his underwear with a ball. And my dad didn't even need the baseball bat, because my dad wore those gigantic boxer shorts that were always gapped open in the front. That gap was like a taser to a thief. Shut the gap, shut the gap. Here, take my wallet, just shut that gap.